Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Ooh, a spicy question. I
because
love it.
the writing is sort of everything, right? Like you kind of can fix plot holes, but if the writing is
so some
there,
readers love that, and some readers are like, "But I wanted more of this." So it's kind of a gamble.
Hello and welcome back to the Right and Wrong podcast. Joining me on this episode, all the way from New York City, is screenwriter and author Emily Layden. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. I always like to kick these episodes off with the latest publication, which for you is Once More from the Top, out in the UK on August 1st. Tell us a little bit about it.
So Once More from the Top really started with my fascination with contemporary fame. It is about a pop star named Dylan Reed, whose childhood best friend disappeared when they were both in high school. 15 years later, when Dylan is at the peak of her career, that best friend's body is found at the bottom of their hometown lake, forcing Dylan to kind of re-examine her career, their friendship, and whether there's more to their story than meets the eye.
So sort of cold case kind of energy, but intertwined with like a contemporary look at what celebrity and fame really is.
Yes, exactly. It's true crime meets Daisy Jones.
What was it about? Because it is such a fascinating sort of cultural moment, being a celebrity at the moment, and like fame and like what it does to a person. What was it about kind of that specifically that made you want to write about it and investigate it?
I think that what feels particularly noteworthy about contemporary celebrity and probably in particular contemporary female celebrities is the kind of the closeness or our perceived closeness to them, right? I think that famous women in particular have to walk this kind of necessary tightrope between aspirational and accessible. And that tension, which is obviously in large part cultivated by social media and our expectation that we will have constant access to the quote real lives of our celebrities, that tension was really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, it is fascinating because I guess from the outside looking in, you can't really take anything at face value that you see on television or in the newspaper or something like that, because even if it is in part like true, that's what they did, it's a character, right? Any kind of celebrity, if they're outside, it's kind of just one of their kind of many masks that they're wearing.
Sure, it's a persona. Yeah. And yet we are all sort of engaged in this charade, right? That that what they are giving us, when they show us photos of their dressing room or, messy dining table shots of their children, like that we're getting their real selves. And maybe we are, or maybe feeding that desire is just also part of the persona,
Yeah. And I guess, how many celebrities actually run their own Instagram accounts?
Of course.
So who really knows? And obviously large part of this novel is also that the protagonist is a musician with a successful career. Are you a musician?
I am not.
Okay.
but I don't like admitting that.
Oh, right. Sorry, I've exposed you.
No, exactly. Right. Being a huge part of being a writer is feeling like an imposter all the time. But I'm not a musician, but I am an excellent student. And so I really, the most fun part of this book was the research for me. I just really spent as much time as I could with any producers, musicians, songwriters, poets, anyone in the industry who would speak to me, who would let me into their studios, who would let me watch them play, would talk to me about their songwriting process. That was really, really fun for me.
Oh, that's cool. So do you literally just kind of like go online, look at a list of people and just say, right, I'm just going to start emailing people and see who would be interested in getting involved?
I did a little bit of that, but I was lucky to sort of have a few people in my kind of immediate network who got me going, and then could say, you know, I know this person, or why don't you talk to this person, or why don't you go to this studio? And that helped a bit.
Yeah. Okay. I'm guessing you needed like one of the sort of industries where people could have this larger than life sort of celebrity persona attached to them. Was music something that you thought was kind of like the most interesting, or did you kind of look into maybe doing an actor or something else?
Yeah, so I think I always wanted to write about the leakiness of artistry and memory. So I knew this was always going to be an art book, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I will ever write a book about a novelist. So that was right. That was off the list immediately. But songwriting felt the closest to me in that I know what it is to be a writer, right? I have some working knowledge about the process there. And that felt like a great starting point. Plus, yes, of course, I am, like everybody else, I am a music fan. I love music. I love pop music. I love country music. So it is the arena where I felt like I had some working knowledge because I know how a writer's brain works. But I also had a real hunger to understand more about the process, because the intersection of lyrics and melody is something that felt really mystifying to me when I was starting this. And I wanted the chance to know about that. Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. It's interesting that you'd kind of like someone that very much does a lot of research for this. I'd love to dive back a bit into this is your second novel, your debut novel, All Girls, came out in 2021, and that's set in an all-girls prep school. So what was your research process for that?
My life.
Thought it might be.
So I spent most of my 20s teaching at girls' schools. And so I did not go to a girls' school myself. I'm, as we say here in the US, I'm a public school kid. But I then taught at girls' schools. I taught English at a couple of girls' schools in my 20s, and was just day in and day out in this environment that as a young person I had found really fascinating and kind of, ivory tower-esque, or like something I wanted to peek behind the curtain of. And then suddenly I was in it. I was a part of it. And it's so rich. It is just, prep schools are sort of evergreen for literary material for a reason.
Yeah. Okay, no, I was just curious because it did sound like something that would have been harder to really. I don't know if a school would appreciate you just reaching out and saying, "Can I come and hang out?"
And I just implant, yeah.
Would that be okay? So, as I said, this is the second novel. Always talking to authors, there's kind of a common recurring theme people say is like the second book is often, I don't want to say harder, but like it comes with a whole new set of challenges. How did you find writing this second novel versus when you wrote the first one?
Yeah, it's so true. The stakes felt much higher because this is my job now. When I was writing All Girls, I wrote that novel every day from 5 to 6 a.m. before going to teach. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have an editor. I didn't have anyone waiting for it but myself. It was just for me. And it was just a dream that I would one day get to do this thing, quote, for real, right? And then all of a sudden I did. I got the book deal. I got the TV development deal. I had agents, editors, lawyers, like a whole team of people behind me. And I left teaching. It was my livelihood. And the desperate desire to keep that going, I felt that really acutely while writing the second one.
Yeah, I think you don't really appreciate it until you're there, and then you realize that you had this sort of strange freedom of it just being a kind of dream when you were writing the first one, and now it's like you say, there's people waiting for your next chapter, waiting for your next draft. There's a schedule, everything's on timing, stuff like that. Having experienced the publishing machine already, let's say, did it make things smoother this time around though?
I think I felt a confidence that I did not feel the first time. You know, I would probably be embarrassed to go back and read some of the emails I sent my agent in the beginning of All Girls. I was so nervous. I was, everything I said was just like filled with thank yous and I'm so gratefuls, and which I am, and I'm sorries, and just like classic, like I'm tripping over myself to show you guys that I'm not sure I even belong here, but thank you so much for letting me be here. And this time around, I felt just much more certain of if I am still plagued by some sort of existential anxiety about my belonging, which I think a lot of writers are. I at least know how to act the part a bit better. And I am more comfortable, I've been with my agent for 5 years now. I have been with, and my film TV agent as well. Like I have a team of people I really trust. I understand. I feel shored up and assured in a way you can't possibly feel in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you could give advice to debut authors kind of going through the process for the first time, what advice would you give for them?
That's a great question. And you teed that up so nicely with the last one.
Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One with pico and creamy chipotle ranch, and the other with bacon and avocado ranch. Chicken expert since 1990. Taco expert since now. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's. Chicken tacos should only be trusted to chicken professionals. That's where we come in. Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One comes with pico de gallo and creamy chipotle ranch. And the other comes with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and avocado ranch. Chicken expert since 1990. Chicken taco expert since now. Order yours today in the Zax Rewards app. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
I think I would say, I was actually just talking to one of my friends who had her debut out, Daisy Garrison, 6 More Months of June. It's wonderful. That came out in June. And I was talking to her about she was sort of, she won't mind me saying this, just sort of like nervous about a thing. And I said to her, like, oh, I sent anxious emails like that all the time. Don't worry about it. And I think it's just that. I think it's just having a little bit of grace for yourself in the first year or two of this career. You don't know what's up, and that's okay. And you're not supposed to know. And I feel like I got a lot of advice, I think in Hollywood in particular, you sort of get the advice that's like, act like you belong. And that only made me feel like it wasn't okay to ask questions. Like I was always supposed to know the answer. So what I would want to hear is that, like, it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay if you mess up, and you, and just be patient with yourself as you're learning.
Yes. I mean, it's easy to forget that nobody's born with this sort of innate knowledge of how everything works. Right. Everyone has to be told at some point.
Right. Exactly.
And you mentioned Hollywood and kind of your work as a screenwriter. So you have a literary agent and a separate agent for television stuff.
Yes, correct. Yep, I have
Okay.
I have a literary agent and then a film TV agent, 2 film TV agents, and I also have managers now as well.
Wow, you've got a whole entourage.
It is. It's a lot. It only adds to the pressure, but.
So how long have you been doing the screenwriting for?
So All Girls was a really, I was really fortunate, and it was both my dream and my life changed literally overnight. We sold the novel overnight, and I was on the phone. I was lined up with a film TV agent immediately, and then I was on the phone with producers the following week, who wanted to option the novel. And I was really fortunate in that film TV agent, Hillary Michael at WME, I said that having no experience besides like some screenwriting courses in college, that I wanted to adapt my novel. And Hillary was just like, yep, absolutely. I will fight for that for you. And she was, she found me producers who supported that. And I was really lucky to work with Jessica Rhodes of, Black Mirror, Station 11. And Jessica's just she's fantastic at what she does. She was a great mentor. And most of all, she trusted that I could learn, and I could learn fast, and I could do it. And so I've been kind of doing development work ever since.
On All Girls.
So we developed All Girls, and then it didn't get the green light as happens to most things. Yeah. But I have a few other projects going as well right now.
Okay, that's really cool. As someone who has now written and continues to write in both mediums, how different do you find kind of working in novels versus working in writing for television and screen?
Yeah, it's so different. But I think that screenwriting has given me, so in screenwriting, structure is really king. And that is not an approach I had as a novelist. But I think that learning that as a screenwriter, I think you can see that in Once More from the Top. I think there's an attention to structure in Once More from the Top that only happened because I'd spent the preceding, 2 or 3 years learning to become a screenwriter.
Okay. So it kind of bled into your novel writing as well. That kind of learned skills there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And of course, I think novelists have an attention to character development. Not that, TV writers don't, but that was a skill, a comprehensive attention to character development that I could bring to screenwriting.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Because I guess screenwriting, especially for television, I would imagine, is a lot more focused on the arc and the episode to episode arc.
It's so plot based. Yeah.
Yeah. Plot based. That's what I'm saying. Interesting. Okay. So I had an interesting thought. If maybe you could give some insight into this. Again, I'm going to ask you to offer some advice. If someone was coming from writing novels, long form prose, etc., what advice would you give them if they wanted to move into screenwriting?
Industry advice or creative advice?
Probably both. I mean, both would be great.
Okay. So I think creatively, you can't be precious about if you're adapting your own work, you can't be precious about your source material. I think that you have to sort of see it as, you see the novel as clay that necessarily has to be reshaped to fit the demands of the new form, of whether that's television or film. And so being playful with your material is really, I think is really, really important. And you just have to hold it loosely. And then I think similarly, what I love about writing for television is how collaborative it is, right? Writing a novel is very lonely. It's mostly just you and your computer or whatever. Maybe you are one of those people who writes longhand. But it's mostly just you and the page and your brain. And television and film are not like that at all. You have producers, studio executives, you might have a showrunner, you might have other attached talent who gets to provide feedback on your scripts. There's just a ton of people involved in your writing process. And while that could maybe sound like not so awesome because maybe writers don't love getting notes all the time, it can really be an opportunity, right? Like when you're stuck, if you have a great producer, you just call them and say, hey, I don't know what to do about this scene. Let's talk it out. And that's wonderful, right? You don't have to sit on your own for a day or weeks trying to puzzle it through. You have a resource. And I love that about it.
Okay. Yeah. And then conversely, if someone was coming from screenwriting and wanted to move into writing a novel, what advice would you give them?
So,
sorry, I feel like it's a really difficult two-part question.
No, that is a difficult question because I do have some screenwriter friends who would like to write a novel. And I think what they find challenging about it is the sheer volume of words that you have to put down. And it just, you can definitely spend a year writing a pilot episode of television. Absolutely. But I think that it feels daunting to a lot of screenwriters, just the number of pages that have got to go down to make a book. And so I would say that what I find helpful in both fields is like a measurable writing goal every day. That is a way that I think like I've been able to sort of feel productive in both fields. While like to sort of, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I needed a way to apply my approach to fiction writing to screenwriting. And I needed to find a way to translate my rhythm. And I would say that screenwriters should do the same thing when they're looking to write a novel. And then the task will feel less daunting.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I can make that a little more tangible if we want.
No, I get it. Like,
okay.
As in, a simple thing would be like, okay, you just set yourself a word limit. You say, I'm going to do 2,000 words a day. And then in a month and a half, we'll have a novel.
Yes. And so right, exactly. Right. Like if as a screenwriter, you say, I'm going to write 5 pages a day, what is the same amount? What is not the same word count, but what's like a similar
like percentage of the
project. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. That's really interesting. Those were great. I sorry to throw you off a bit with those questions.
No, it's okay.
We're going to head over to the desert island right now. So, Emily, if you were stranded on a desert island with a single book, which book do you hope that it would be?
This is actually a really easy answer for me.
Great.
It's Gone Girl.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I love Gone Girl. I've read it many, many times. Amy Dunn is one of my all-time favorite characters. And I think Gillian Flynn is absolutely brilliant. And there is, I don't think I could read that book enough times, actually.
How many times have you read it?
I have no idea. I have really no idea.
You lost count.
And I pick it up as a reference too, just sort of, It's one that stays close to my desk, and I'll just read a passage here or there, or be like, how did she pull off? Everything about that book works. It's so excellently, the mystery is so well plotted. The characters are so sharply developed. The twist, the fact that she wrote a book with a wild twist. Yeah. The fact that she wrote a book with a twist like that, and you could go see the movie and still be on the edge of your seat, right? Knowing what was coming. That is a remarkable feat. And that speaks to how well she has done every single aspect of that book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that twist, not just from a like narrative perspective, from like a writing craft perspective, is even crazier, because it's
absolutely
like a total, you're changing POV of the character. It's wild.
Right. You would think it took, I think, real like genius for her to have the vision to do that, because I think most writers would say, I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she just did.
From the editor as well to say, this is going to work. We're going to make this work.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's that book, I think, is so largely the reason that psychological thrillers are such a commercially successful genre right now. Like that book, I think
it changed the industry
under that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Great choice. I'm going to ask some more questions about starting out in publishing, getting an agent, writing processes, and a bit about book deals, but that will be in the extended episode exclusive to my amazing Patreon subscribers.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a better place to end this episode off.
Yeah, so, I think so too.
Thank you so much, Emily, for coming on the podcast and chatting with me and telling me all about your writing and the books. It's been really, really fun and interesting chatting with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Likewise.
And for anyone listening, once more from the top is it'll be out as of this airing August 1st in the UK, so you can go and get it in all the usual places. If you want to keep up with what Emily is doing, you can follow her on Instagram at Emily Layden, or you can find her website emilylayden.com. To support the podcast, like, follow and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and follow along on socials. Join the Patreon for extended episodes ad-free and a week early, and check out my other podcast, The Chosen Ones and Other Tropes. Thanks again to Emily, and thanks to everyone listening. We will catch you on the next episode.
Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One with pico and creamy chipotle ranch, and the other with bacon and avocado ranch. Chicken expert since 1990. Taco expert since now. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.